Okay, now the temperature is changing. We're at that weird time of the year where one minute it's 4 degrees, the next minute it's 15 degrees, and our bodies really can't keep up. And one of the things that I certainly as a podiatrist see at this kind of year is an increase in symptoms with circulation. In particular, chilblains and Raynaud's disease, which are very, very similar in terms of their presentation. Now I want you to imagine that your body controls heat going to your extremities, so your fingers and your toes, by managing the blood flow very, very gently. And when it gets a bit cold, it tends to keep the circulation out of the way. When it gets a bit warm, it opens it up in order to allow evaporation and making sure it controls the heat very, very well. But with chilblains and Raynaud's, that process changes, and it goes from being a very, very gentle movement to a very extreme movement. Normally, I would like you to think of it as a bit like an accordion, that very kind of gentle movement of the accordion where, there's no sudden change, it's just a very calculated, gentle movement. But when you get to chilblains and Raynaud's, it's a bit like a clap, a bit like a slam, more like a cymbal, that kind of crashing together where you get that sudden change. Now these changes are always in response to cold and heat, and they can be very, very damaging. Certainly you can get pain, certainly you can get discoloration of the toes, but people are at risk of problems such as ulceration. And we do see this in our clinics where you'll have a chilblain which becomes ulcerated. And they are a bit of a challenge to heal, like any ulceration. But we know we've got changes to those small blood vessels. Now, one of the things which we have to be aware of in our treatment is making sure that we pick any kind of therapies which might affect that circulation or might be in the areas affected by that circulation and do them at a certain time of year. So, for example, things like nail surgery, would be very, very careful about doing that in the winter with somebody who has chilblains or Raynaud's disease. The other interesting thing to consider in terms of treatment is how we manage it. Now, we can manage it by putting a little local anaesthetic injection into the back of the ankle, and what that can do is that can open up the blood vessels. We also look at nice cushioning plastizote insoles, which also have some thermal properties which keep the heat in place. The other things we tend to look at are things like warming creams, but by far the biggest thing that we would advise is making sure you're aware of when it's cold outside, when it's warm, and making sure that you warm up before you go outside. And when you come back in, you make sure that you allow your feet to adjust to the temperature in the house. So for example, if I was going out now and it was 2 or 3 degrees out, what I would do is I'd make sure I got my nice warm socks, my nice warm shoes on for a good 10-15 minutes beforehand. And when I come back in, I don't rush to take them off and go and sit in front of the fire. I make sure that I let everything acclimatise. But chilblains and Raynaud's are, they're a very real thing for a lot of people, and they can be very uncomfortable and they can put people at risk. I actually get a bit of Raynaud's in my hands in this time of year, and if I go out and do photography, somewhere really cold to catch a sunrise in the middle of winter, if my gloves come off, my fingers take ages to warm up and it's really, really uncomfortable. So, if you've got any questions, any comments, give me a shout, drop them below. And if you want a pair of plastizote insoles and you're around by the clinic, just let me know and I'll sort you some out. So, see you guys later, take care, bye bye.